The PlayStation 4 is officially dead, and the internet seems to be a bit mixed as to if this is a good story or a bad story. I have seen a lot of people sort of celebrating this, saying, good, it's been 12 years since the original PlayStation 4 came out. Why are we still supporting this? I'm tired of cross-gen trash. But I'm also seeing the other side of the coin. A lot of people are basically saying they don't like the idea that their console can essentially be killed via remote connection, because right now it is weird to consider the fact that back in the day, consoles really did live forever. Like, you could get a PlayStation and just play it for eternity. As long as the disc wasn't scratched and the little optical drive didn't get burnt out, you had a good memory card, you could just play forever, right? But in this current sense, it's weird to consider the fact that games require an internet connection, not just for the downloads, not just for the installs, but a lot of times the biggest games on every platform are live service games. Fortnite and Genshin Impact and Final Fantasy XIV and Call of Duty Warzone are massive juggernauts. They not just make hundreds of millions of dollars, but billions of dollars every single year. So the fact that these companies are beginning to officially announce that they are stopping support for the PlayStation 4, they're abandoning it. And a lot of people are sort of just reflecting on the fact that this generation ending, it's been so long, over a decade. And a lot of people now are starting to say, okay, what's next? Because it is kind of strange to consider that a console you own, that maybe you've spent thousands of dollars of games on, can just be shut off. But let's break this down. Let's take a look at a lot of the reactions, because I do think this is a bit of a messier situation than some people fully grasp. Hi, I am DreamcastGuy. If you could please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. But let me begin with this. So technically, the PlayStation 4 will be on for years to come. But the problem is that whenever a system stops getting new updates, whenever it stops getting new content, it's abandonware is what a lot of people call it. Where at this point, you're not going to see new stuff come to it. But it is still possible to still turn it on and download the games you already have, right? Like currently, technically the PlayStation 3 store, it goes down occasionally, but to this day, you can actually still download, buy, and install games on the PlayStation 3. But I do think it's pretty obvious that this is soon what you're going to see the PlayStation 4 turn into. It's going to be essentially just a time capsule. As long as the servers are on, you'll be able to play and buy stuff in the way it currently exists. But let me go to this right here. Here is the thing that I think a lot of people have been talking about, which is that companies now are officially declaring that things are only coming to next gen. And a lot of people are saying, okay, good, great idea. The games that are still coming to Xbox One and PlayStation 4 are in very, very strange shapes. A lot of times their graphics look extremely bad, but here's the thing that really kicked off a lot of the debate. 2026 seems to be the beginning of the end for PlayStation 4 support. According to GamesIndustry.biz, many other operators of major online live service titles are looking into timelines to pull the plug on their support for the PlayStation 4. The outlets attribute this to two main things, which we all know are technical limitations. The other reason for publishers dropping PS4 support is the install base of the PS5 is finally reached the desirable state. Now, this is sort of the magic math that they talked more openly about during the PlayStation 3 generation, which is that a lot of times they call it the 70-30 rule, which is that when the PlayStation 3 originally came out, it was still pretty bad. The early PlayStation 3 generation stuff sold awful. The console, the games, everything with the PlayStation 3 sold super, super bad. But throughout the course of the PlayStation 3 generation, it sold more and more and more. So by the time the PlayStation 4 came out, there was still some cross-gen stuff. There was for quite a while. But once 70% of the paying audience was on the PlayStation 4, they abandoned the PlayStation 3. And I think we're finally at that point where a huge chunk of the money-in-hand audience is now on the PlayStation 5. 70%, all right, we're allowed to finally cut off last gen. Now, a lot of the replies to this are people saying, I expect PlayStation 5 to be supported probably all of the PlayStation 6 generation. We are in that new era space. This is so strange to me. You can rest now. I can't believe that COD and NBA dropped last gen. Hopefully they do it after this year. Now, here's the thing. The main excuse I keep seeing over and over again is that these companies are saying, oh, our graphics are so good, our power pushing, our new updates are so fantastic, it simply can't work on the PlayStation 5. Now, a lot of people are basically saying this is a lie. They're saying it doesn't work on the PlayStation 4, it only works on the PlayStation 5. A lot of people are like, okay, but the game runs on a phone. Like, these games run on a phone, so I truly do not believe you. Final Fantasy XIV dropped support of PlayStation 3. If you guys want modern games with modern graphics, you have to accept that technology must advance. Gaming consumers are always such Karens. I think that the people complaining about this, I understand it. I have to say that the reason I feel mixed about this is that a lot of people I know are just dead ass broke. I mean, just straight up broke. I do think a real reason that the live service games have been so popular, free-to-play games have been so popular, is because people are just broke. And I think this is a way to play stuff. You work your long-ass shift, you go home, you got $12 in your pocket, you want to buy some crappy fast food or something like that, and you want to sit down and play a game. You don't want a $70 price tag. I understand that. I like to buy games myself. I like to support the next big, crazy, story-focused games, but I definitely understand these people. And I feel bad for the fact that there are definitely going to be at least a couple people out there that are dead broke and their favorite game is now being deactivated on their console. And a lot of people, though, seem to be happy about this because the other side of the coin is that current era game development takes so ridiculously long. Like, consider the fact that why have we not gotten a ton of PlayStation 5 games this generation? I mean, the main excuse is the fact that honestly it takes 5, 6, 7 years to make one game, right? One game from scratch takes a half decade. So I have seen some people basically saying, thank God they're finally giving up on the PlayStation 4. These developers can start work on the PlayStation 6. So when we get it, hypothetically in 2028 or 2029, it'll actually have some games, right? I still feel like all of this is so strange to me because the idea of the PlayStation 4 dying after selling 140 million consoles, I do think it shows the fact that honestly, the jump to next gen must be way bigger than we fathomed, right? I mean, I think they said the numbers is about 78 million now for the PlayStation 5. Clearly, those people are buying a lot of games if these people are willing to make this jump and just straight up cut off last gen. Now, I wanted to go over to Reddit and take a look at some of their reactions because this is interesting to me. Next gen's cross-gen is going to be at least 10 years at this rate. Guaranteed, especially with prices going up now over time instead of down. Plus, the whole diminishing returns when it comes to power. Now, I have made multiple videos on this. I truly do not think the PlayStation 6, I don't think there's going to be a PlayStation 7. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe I won't live to see a PlayStation 7, but the whole idea of constantly advancing graphics, we're hitting that wall. I mean, we have truly hit that diminishing returns, like this person said here, which is that we're getting so close to photorealism, crazy amounts of resolution, crazy amounts of frame rate. I do feel like at this point, you're just hitting the limits of what can even physically be made. So I think a lot of people are starting to say, okay, I just want to get a system as cheap as possible. I do think the PlayStation 6 will hopefully get price drops, unlike price increases of this generation. But if it doesn't, I do think the PlayStation 6 is just going to be around forever. And if it can even slightly run on the PlayStation 5, I think they'll keep it on the PlayStation 5 as well. I've heard Genshin Impact is painfully slow in terms of loading times on PlayStation 4. The game outgrew the PS4. They've already announced they'll ditch it. I wonder when Fortnite will drop it. Probably not until the 70-40 rule or 70-30 rule kicks in. Yeah, exactly. Probably when enough Nintendo Switch 1 users jump to Nintendo Switch 2, then they'll finally abandon it. Fallout 76 is an overhaul game. It is interesting the amount of people that are straight up just listing off all the live service games that are going to probably have to make that leap. Now, this is the last one to look at. This was a smaller Reddit I found called Gaming News, but a lot of people were talking about the fact that dropping support for PlayStation 4 just in time for PlayStation 6 to release and devs still supporting PS5, so the cycle just continues anyways. I have the utmost confidence that with or without the previous generation of consoles, games are not going to see a significant jump in quality, story, or content. You'll still be getting exactly the same results that players have been complaining about for the last few years. May even get even more live service games. This isn't news. I do think it's just strange to consider the PlayStation 4 dying, right? Maybe it's that I'm an old man and I still remember unboxing my PlayStation 4 on launch night and stuff. I still remember waiting in line at that midnight launch event and a terrible DJ was there just blasting the most awful music I've ever heard. But it is just weird to consider the fact that the PlayStation 4, 12 years later, still being here, still being supported in some sense. It's wild. I think I'm in a spot where I wish they would keep this stuff going forever. Like, how expensive can it really be to have the PlayStation storefront going, right? How expensive is it to keep the PlayStation Vita going, the PlayStation 3 going? It's got to be cheap. This is sort of just my plea to the skies, to the gaming gods. Keep supporting this stuff. Please never deactivate my little Nintendo Switch Lite. Never deactivate my PlayStation 3. Never deactivate my PlayStation Vita. Never deactivate my PlayStation 4. Stopping support for new games, that makes sense. You can't make PlayStation 4 games forever. But please, don't just brick the consoles. How do you feel about this? So tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and please keep dreaming. Oh, thanks to everybody that walked up and said hi to me at QuakeCon, by the way. A lot of people took selfies with me and stuff. That was fun. Good seeing y'all. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.